2024 MLB All Star Game rosters have been announced, and I'm going to go through every single player that has made the roster from the American League and National League, give you the reasons why I thought they make it, why I thought maybe they shouldn't, and just give you my thoughts and opinions as well as tell you everybody that's on the team. Got a little challenge for you guys. If we get 2,500 likes on today's video, I will drop my MLB All Star snub video tomorrow. So go ahead and like the video if you want to see that. Without further ado, let's start talking about who's on these teams. Getting us started with the American League, at the catcher position, starting is going to be Adley Rutschman, one of the best catchers, if not the best catcher in all of baseball, on one of the best teams in all of Major League Baseball. Adley is so deserving of this. He's amazing. And then backing up Adley at catcher, of course, is going to be Salvador Perez, who really was the only other option that made the most sense here for the American League. Salvi continues to just mash. He's been incredible for the Royals. At first base, starting for the American League, we've got Vlad Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays. Vladdy has quietly actually had a really good year after starting the year a little bit slow. Will he be on the Blue Jays, though, after the trade deadline? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Backing up Vladdy at first base is going to be Josh Naylor, who is so deserving of it. Honestly, one of the more underrated players. And shout out to the Guardians. They got a bunch of players in the All Star Game. They deserved it. One of the better teams in baseball this year. Starting at second base, we've got Jose Altuve of the Houston Astros. You know him, one of the best second basemen in the league, continuing to mash, even though the Astros haven't been as good as they expected. But Altuve hasn't slowed down one bit. And then backing up Altuve at second base, a bit of a weird pick, Marcus Semien. I was surprised Marcus Semien made it. I thought that this would have been a Jordan Westburg spot, maybe. I know Westburg's played a little bit third, a little bit second. He's been all over the place. But Semien, to me, feels like someone that doesn't necessarily deserve it. He's not one of the worst ones, though. We'll talk about those guys later. Starting at shortstop for the American League, of course, it's going to be Gunnar Henderson, who is putting up an MVP caliber season for the Orioles. So incredibly talented. And then there are two backup shortstop, first being Bobby Witt Jr., who, you know him, one of the best players in all of Major League Baseball. Huge reason why the Royals have been so successful this season. Incredible defense, incredible bat, incredible speed. This is a game to highlight the best players in the game. And for a lot of fans, you probably haven't seen too much of Bobby Witt because he plays for Kansas City. This is going to be a great place to show it off. Along with Carlos Correa making the All-Star team, who sneaky deserves it. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Carlos Correa's numbers this year are actually really good. While the power numbers are not crazy high, he's been one of the better shortstops in all of baseball, let alone the American League, and he deserves it. He's been really good. He's been healthy. He's been great. Starting at third base for the American League, we've got a Cleveland Guardian, Jose Ramirez. You guys know J-Ram, switch hitting god, just so incredibly talented. One of the most underrated players of our era. Two backups at third base for Jose Ramirez. You've got Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox, who has just, again, quietly put up a phenomenal year. He is so good. Another guy who I feel like doesn't get enough credit for being such a good hitter that he is. And then Isaac Paredes, who's going to be the lone Tampa Bay Rays representative. The Rays needed somebody. I guess he's the best option. I don't necessarily know if he's worthy. There are other players that have had better years at third base, Josh Smith being included. Every team needs a representative, and Isaac Paredes is the Rays. Now, moving on to the outfield, you've got Aaron Judge for the New York Yankees, who's going to be one of the starters. MVP. I mean, he's playing out of control. He's the best player in baseball right now. Juan Soto, also of the New York Yankees. What he's been able to do to that lineup and that team has been fantastic. I know they've hit a little bit of a snag, but without Juan Soto, this team is dead. He has been incredibly good, going to get paid so much money this offseason. And then Stephen Kwan being the final All-Star Game starter in the outfield for the American League, and so deserving. The guy's hitting like 350. He's having a phenomenal season. He's even hitting for some power right now in Cleveland. One of the better stories of the year is how good Cleveland has been, and Stephen Kwan is one of the main reasons, along with J-Ram and some of the other players that made the team. As for the backup outfielders, first one going to be Kyle Tucker. Not sure if he's going to play. Just been injured a lot longer than we thought. If he was healthy, he was having an MVP caliber season, just putting up insanely good numbers. One of the best outfielders in all of baseball, but again, probably not playing if he's still on the IL as of right now, and even if he is healthy, probably going to get scratched. Jarren Duran of the Boston Red Sox makes it. Love to see that as a huge Jarren Duran fan. I've been all over this guy since he was a prospect, and he's finally putting it together, being healthy, just a all-around really good player. Glad to see he made the All-Star team. And then Riley Green makes it in his first All-Star selection. It has been a very disappointing season for the Tigers. They've had some good guys that could have made it here and there, but Riley Green's a pretty safe option out in the outfield, having a really nice year. As for the DH, of course, it's going to be Yordan Alvarez. He started off the year a little bit slow for Yordan Alvarez standards, but he's been on fire recently, and the numbers are jumping off the page. One of the best pure hitters in all of Major League Baseball. And then so happy to see that David Fry of the Cleveland Guardians Guardians, made the All-Star team. Brent Rooker has some beef. I think he should also maybe find a way onto this team too. He's been great for the A's. But David Fry has been awesome. Again, one of the better stories in baseball this year. Just this random dude who's absolutely mashing and playing amazing. On to the pitching side now for the American League. And as the lone representative of the Chicago White Sox, you can guess it's going to be Garrett Crochet. Crochet has just casually become one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Probably going to be one of the hottest players at the trade deadline. Do the White Sox end up moving him? Who knows? But this is a great place to showcase him. For the Detroit Tigers, Tarek Skubal also makes the All-Star team. Skubal has been dominant. Another amazing left-handed starting pitcher out of the American League Central. There's more. I don't know how, but the American League Central has all the amazing left-handed starting pitching, Tarek Skubal being one of them. Tanner Houck of the Boston Red Sox makes the All-Star team. He has been incredible this year. Nobody's hitting him. The stuff has been crazy. He has helped this Red Sox team be way better than anyone expected. Shout out Seth Lugo, former New York Met. It pains me because he could have been on our team, but happy to see Seth Lugo make the All-Star team for the Kansas City Royals. He's been statistically maybe the best pitcher in baseball this year. He's been incredible. His teammate Cole Reagans also makes it. I talked about amazing left-handed pitching. Cole Reagans being one of them. He has been just lights out for the Royals ever since they got him. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. Logan Gilbert makes it for the Seattle Mariners, quietly having a Cy Young caliber season out in the Pacific Northwest. Logan Gilbert's awesome. Huge acquisition for the Orioles. One of the reasons why they're one of the best teams in baseball. Corbin Burns makes the All-Star team. You know him, one of the best pitchers in the game. The lone representative for the Los Angeles Angels, Tyler Anderson. And if you check the numbers, he's actually been really good. He's been huge for me in fantasy baseball. He makes his second All-Star appearance. The lone representative for the Oakland A's, of course, is going to be Mason Miller as we now move on to the bullpen. Just been absolutely lights out dominant, and the stuff is electric. Can't wait to see him pitch in this game. Kirby Yates of the Texas Rangers makes it. He's had a really good year quietly. Now, there are some better relievers, but Kirby Yates has put up the really good numbers that he's deserving of a spot. Clay Holmes. Now, there's some beef maybe with Clay Holmes making this team. He made it, obviously, as a reliever for the Yankees. There are guys with better numbers, but apparently the MLB Commissioner's Office selected Clay Holmes, and he is on the All-Star team. Take it for what you want. I'll talk about it in my Snubs video tomorrow. And the last pitcher for the American League and last player is going to be Emmanuel Clase, who is just one of the, if not the best closers in all of Major League Baseball. I think he leads the league in saves and has been locked down for the Guardians. Moving on over to the National League, starting at catcher, we've got William Contreras of the Milwaukee Brewers. The start he had at the beginning of the year was crazy for the Brewers. He was on an MVP caliber run. He slowed down a little bit, but William Contreras is still one of the best catchers in the entire game. Backing up William Contreras in the All-Star game is going to be Will Smith of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He just hit 4 home runs and 4 straight at-bats the other day. Just, again, one of the best catchers in all of baseball. Criminally underrated, I feel like, all the time in terms of just one of the better players in the league as well. Starting at first base of the National League is going to be Bryce Harper, but of course, Harper does have an injury, so you're assuming he's going to be taken out of this lineup if you had to guess. And then backing him up at first base, you've got Freddie Freeman of the Dodgers, which, again, Freddie Freeman, one of the best hitters in all of baseball. Still very, very good. This Dodgers team's unfair. And shockingly, Pete Alonso, who is the only Mets representative. I actually don't believe Pete deserved to be on the All-Star team. His numbers this year have been fine, nothing spectacular. I think Christian Walker deserved to get this spot over Pete Alonso, but again, every team needs to get one player. It's just weird that Pete Alonso was the one that was selected, not Francisco Lindor, and spoiler alert, not Brandon Nimmo. Starting at second base in the National League, you've got Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's incredible, one of the best second basemen in the league. I love to see that he's getting the recognition he deserves. He's so good. And then backing him up at second base is Luis Ariz. And I know I'm the biggest Luis Ariz hater out there, but the numbers just don't back it up. If you are saying that Luis Ariz made the All-Star game because he has the most hits in Major League Baseball or in the National League, whatever it is, fine. That's your reasoning. Stick with it. But if you're talking about value, if you're talking about WRC+, if you're looking at numbers outside of just box scores, Luis Ariz is not there. I think he's like the 5th highest WRC+ in the National League among second basemen, and he's the 13th ranked National League second baseman in terms of F-WAR. Should have been Bryce Terang. Bryce Terang deserved it way more than Luis Ariz. Starting at shortstop is going to be Trey Turner for the Philadelphia Phillies. Hasn't played that much because of injury, but he has been very good, and he's a really good player. We know that. And then the backups at shortstop, Mookie Betts, not going to be playing in the game, but was having an MVP season, one of the best players in the league. Elly De La Cruz makes the All-Star team, which I think is awesome. Now, numbers-wise, there's some players having better years, but value-wise, he has been one of the higher players in terms of F-WAR at the shortstop position in Major League Baseball. So he kind of deserves it, and I'm not going to complain because he's an exciting player, unlike the bloops hitter Luis Ariz. The other shortstop that made the team was C.J. Abrams of the Washington Nationals. He is the lone Nationals representative, and he very much deserves it. He's having an amazing year, hitting for power, getting on base, stealing bases, playing a pretty good shortstop. C.J. Abrams is a great young talent. Again, showcasing the exciting young players in the league. I love to see it. Starting at third base for the National League in the All-Star game Game is going to be Alec Boehm of the Philadelphia Phillies, and just straight up deserves it. He's having a really good year, starting to hit for some more power. Boehm's been great, and he's on the best team in baseball, arguably. Backing him up at third base, the lone representative for the Colorado Rockies, Ryan McMahon, who has had a really solid season. Love to see Ryan McMahon getting some love. If the Rockies don't trade him at the deadline, I'm going to scream, cash in Colorado. He's not a part of the future, and he can help a team win right now. He's awesome. Moving on to the outfield, the three starters, Christian Yelich of the Milwaukee Brewers on a tear. He's looking so good, and one of the reasons why the Brewers have been one of the best teams in the National League Central. Jurickson Profar, who has been one of the better stories again of this season, wasn't signed going into spring training, played in the Caribbean Series to try and get some more looks. They sign him. He plays outfield for the Padres. He starts on the All-Star team, having an incredible season. And then Fernando Tatis Jr. also makes it as a starter for the Padres. Just a really solid year as well. I don't think he's going to play due to injury, but we'll see what happens. As for the backup outfielders, some interesting choices, but all deserving. Jackson Merrill of the San Diego Padres, maybe the least of the deserving, but I am not going to argue, really. He's been really hot of late, starting to hit for power more. The numbers have been really good. He just doesn't have better numbers than some of the guys left off. We'll talk about that later, but I'm a huge Jackson Merrill fan, so glad to see he made it. Elliot Ramos of the San Francisco Giants. He's been phenomenal. I don't know if you've seen Elliot Ramos' numbers, but he is mashing at an uncontrollable rate, honestly, kind of saving the entire Giants season right now. And then Brian Reynolds of the Pittsburgh Pirates, who's gotten hot of late, had a really big series against the Mets. He's been very good, just quietly having great numbers yet again for Brian Reynolds. For the last position on offense, we've got the National League DH. Of course, it's going to be Shohei Ohtani. One of the best players in baseball, has a chance to be the first ever player to win the MVP as a full-time DH. And then backing him up is, of course, going to be Marcell Ozuna, who's just put up video game-like numbers this year. He is the only offensive representative for the Atlanta Braves in the entire All-Star game, which sounds crazy, but the offense has been bad for them. Marcell Ozuna makes it, though, backup DH. Now on to the pitchers, and I gotta say, I feel like the National League hit it out of the park with the pitching. Ranger Suarez for the Philadelphia Phillies. Been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year on one of the best teams. There's no reason Ranger shouldn't have been here. Tyler Glasnow for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Feels crazy, but this is the first time he made the All-Star team, and it's deserving. I mean, he's got some of the nastiest stuff in all of Major League Baseball, and he's been amazing for the Dodgers. Shota Imanaga, the rookie from Japan, makes it for the Chicago Cubs. He's been awesome. He's been getting hit a little bit more. That's just going to happen, but he still deserves to be on this All-Star team. Amazing. He made it. Reynaldo Lopez of the Braves, one of the better acquisitions this offseason, has made the All-Star team. He was a reliever in Chicago. It was a little risky to make him a starter, and it's completely paid off. He's been incredible. Logan Webb of the San Francisco Giants also makes the All-Star team. Just a casual, good pitcher every single time. Never really going to impress you with his stuff because he gets ground balls and he throws sinkers, but he does a really good job every year. Really glad to see that Paul Skeens made the All-Star team. Paul Skeens should be the starter in the All-Star game. If Major League Baseball and the National League, and they're really thinking, Paul Skeens needs to start the All-Star game. He is must-watch TV. He is arguably the best pitcher in all of Major League Baseball, in my opinion, right now. Glad to see he made the team. Really hope he starts. He's just so good. Chris Sale makes the All-Star team. Chris Sale's been healthy this year. He's been dominant. I actually don't know where the Braves would be without him and Reynaldo Lopez. They've saved this roster this year. Chris Sale in particular, on a Cy Young pace right now. He's been so good. I hate the Braves, but I do like to see Chris Sale pitching well because the injury stuff just sucks so bad. Zach Wheeler makes the All-Star team for the Phillies. Only his second selection, which feels weird for one of the best pitchers in the game, but of course, very much deserving. He's dominant on the mound. Now, as for the bullpen, we've got Ryan Helsley of the St. Louis Cardinals who made it. Helsley lights out in the bullpen, throws 102 miles an hour. He's going to light up the radar gun. Tanner Scott, the lone pick for the Miami Marlins. I genuinely don't know if there's anybody better. I also don't really care. The Marlins are so uninteresting. Tanner Scott, congratulations. Robert Suarez of the San Diego Padres makes it. I believe the Padres have 5 or 6 guys in the All-Star game, which is crazy for a team that's not even in first place. But Robert Suarez is deserving. He's been one of the best closers in baseball this year. And then 2 Phillies relievers make it on the back end, Matt Strahm and Jeff Hoffman, which sounds kind of crazy, but they both have ERAs, I think, below 1.5. They've been dominant in each of their regards. Left-handed for Strahm, right-handed for Jeff Hoffman. At first, I scratched my head, and then you look at the numbers and you go, oh yeah, these guys deserve to make the All-Star team. Of course, with injuries and guys tapping out and guys who are going to start before the All-Star game, there are going to be players added to this roster. So some of the snubs I even talk about may end up making the team. But if you want to see that snub video, make sure to drop a like on this one, 2,500 likes, and I'll drop that tomorrow for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you. Follow me on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc, links in your description. You can yell at me about my Luis Arias hatred there. I'm happy to respond. And that's where I'll wrap up today's video. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on another video. Bye.